Hello, welcome to Old Virginia Homes. Today we're going to visit a house that has experienced a lot of love and loss, and a literal and figurative battleground of ideals. Can you imagine what it would be like to be married during a civil war when you and your spouse come from opposing sides, divided by conflicting loyalties and differing allegiances? And then, as if that's not bad enough, the Civil War ends up being fought literally at your doorstep. Well, that's what happened in the house we're going to visit today. The historic Kernstown Battlefield and Farm is a 352-acre property owned and operated by the Kernstown Battlefield Association, a 501c3 organization. They purchased the farm 25 years ago, and they continue to work on restoring the Pritchard House, which was built in 1854. Their mission is to protect and interpret this Civil War battlefield and historic farm for the benefit of all future generations. Join me as we tour the Pritchard House, an old Virginia home in Winchester. Let's go. The Pritchard Grimm farm once stretched across hundreds of acres and witnessed fighting during both the First and Second Battles of Kernstown in March 1862 and July 1864. The three-story Greek Revival brick mansion was historically known as Bright Side. The home's exterior now looks pristine thanks to the Kernstown Battlefield Association, but it once looked like this. The interior is still undergoing restoration and will be a years-long process dependent upon donations and grants, but it's interesting to see it in this stage of care. Larry Turner, vice president of the organization, will be leading today's tour.
So we're in the backyard of the 1854 Pritchard House. We call it the Pritchard House because it was constructed by Sam and Helen Pritchard in 1854. It's the fourth dwelling that's on the farm. So we're standing where the third dwelling used to be. Now, this house was a two-story federal building with two bedrooms on the top story and entered through this top door. And the lower door entered into the dugout, root cellar, kitchen, scullery sort of thing. And right over here, and I'll show you the picture on the inside, right over here was the main entrance.
James Henry Burton was an armorer, a weapons expert. While he owned Brightside, it was painted white with black trim. Here's a photo of the house with the original extension. And as you can see here, now it's gone. We're starting our tour of the house on the first floor. The first and third floors were family quarters. The second floor was reserved for guests, farm business, and more formal entertaining.
The first floor of the house is the family level. Visitors don't come down here. This is where families do their work. This is just a big family great room.
The land on which the First and Second Battles of Kernstown were fought has been farmed since 1735 by only 4 families. The Hogue family owned the property for 21 years, the Pritchard and Miller family for 123 years. They're the ones who built the brick house that you see now. The Burton family owned the property for 11 years, and then the Grimm family owned the property for 99 years. The Kernstown Battlefield Association purchased the property from the Grimm family in the year 2000.
Helen and Sam Pritchard nursed 3 battles worth of casualties for both sides, because they were apolitical people. They didn't pick one side over the other. And they nursed them probably in this room or upstairs. Now, Sam was a Virginian by 4 generations. Had brothers that fought in the Confederate Army. I'll tell you more about that. But Helen was from New Jersey, New York, society. So you had this north-south wedding. Winchester was very, very, very secessionist. And these folks didn't associate with the Winchester folks very much.
We'll enter the second story through the front door, the way that guests would have entered.
When the guests come up the stairs, you bring them into the parlor. This is the formal parlor. And if it's a dinner engagement, this is your little cocktail room, and these doors would be closed. You close these, the servants would be putting dinner out, so these would be shut. If it's a business meeting, this is the farm office. All the while the Pritchards owned the farm, there was enslaved labor on the farm, which we're learning more and more and more about. So we have this 1850 census of the slave labor on the farm. And right here is Stephen Pritchard's line right here. He has about 12, 14 enslaved laborers.
As the sentiments of secession began to brew in Virginia, Samuel Pritchard made a silent statement that historians interpret as a "just leave me alone to live my life" declaration. He chose not to vote in the 1860 presidential election, nor did he vote in the local election that year for a representative to the Virginia Secession Convention. But soon the Shenandoah Valley became stained with the blood of battle, and the Pritchard's farm became overrun with troops from both the north and south. At one point, Helen was pregnant with her 4th child. She and Samuel and their young children huddled together in the cellar throughout the cacophonous turmoil. Time and again, the couple ended up caring for wounded and dying soldiers in both blue and gray uniforms. The dining room is arranged according to a picture in the James E. Taylor sketchbook. Taylor was a newspaper illustrator during and after the Civil War.
Service for 6 on a table that looks like the James Taylor sketchbook table, but fit it in here so these big dining room doors can swing without banging into anybody. And Lord, it works. So you can say, dinner is served, and the folks come in here, and you can sit 6 people easily with a big side table buffet right here. Well, this is Captain Fitzgerald, and he was allegedly of the Mulligan's 23rd Illinois Regiment that fought in the Battle of Second Kernstown in the July 24, 1864. Wounded in battle, and Helen and Sam nursed these soldiers back to health. These are probably senior Union officers just having a conversation, and there's tea being set out.
I'm always curious to know if there are any strange occurrences that harken back to another time. In other words, any ghost stories?
So this room, this bedroom over here to me is the creepy one. We had a ghost hunter came in with his little machine, and it went through and it went, so it shot off in that room and didn't do much anywhere else. And kids have come through with their little ghost app, and they've shined it around, and it goes, ooh, shadow, ooh, ooh. So a couple other people in the past have claimed on a quiet day when the pace wasn't paved, you could hear boots crunching come up behind you, and you wouldn't see anybody. Or you'd feel somebody watching you from this bedroom window up here.
Who could these ghosts be? There are so many possibilities if you believe in unsettled wayward spirits. Could it be Union Colonel James Mulligan, who was badly wounded by Confederate sharpshooters, and who ordered his troops, who were attempting to rescue him, to lay me down and save the flag? Mulligan was cared for by the Pritchards but died 2 days later. The sharpshooters also killed Lieutenant James Nugent, Mulligan's 19-year-old brother-in-law, who had been holding the regimental colors. Who knows, the farm witnessed hundreds of losses on both sides during the war. After the war, the Pritchards were penniless. Upon Samuel's death, the property was sold to his brother-in-law, John M. Miller. Later owners became the Burton family and the Grimm family, and then in the year 2000, it was acquired by the Kernstown Battlefield Association. Sadly, about a month after they took over, the Pritchard cabin caught fire. This cabin was built circa 1790 and originally housed farm workers, probably including enslaved persons. The Kernstown Battlefield Association depends on donors to help them share its important story, the stories of the people who lived, worked, and died here. You can learn more by visiting www.kernstownbattle.org. Thank you for visiting the Pritchard House with me today, an old Virginia home.